Welcome back everyone, it's Charlie. This will be my Joker 2 first look video. Todd Phillips just started filming the movie, he dropped the first scene, so we'll break it all down. Also explain how this fits into James Gunn's plan for the next 10 year of DC movies because there's so much chaos happening with all the movies, the recasting, the soft rebooting of the entire DCEU. Because it's a developing situation, I will be doing videos for all this stuff, so be sure to subscribe to get everything. The big thing you may have seen people posting about recently all over your feeds is that Todd Phillips just started filming Joker 2. This is the first scene with Joaquin Phoenix's Joker character getting a shave. Notice his trademark emaciated look, like he gained a lot of weight after they filmed the first movie because he lost so much weight, like a crazy amount of weight. It was meant to play into the sort of unhealthy vibe of the character, like he was just living a very unhealthy lifestyle because of everything that had been happening to him and everything he'd been going through. Clearly things have not gotten better with him being inside Arkham Asylum. He looks none the worse for wear. He's still inside Arkham Asylum. If you couldn't tell, while he's being shaved here, this is a prison guard doing the actual shaving, holding his head down, just in case he tries to escape while they're actually holding a sharp razor to his neck. The way that James Gunn and the other Warner Brothers people talked about the movie, they aren't planning on touching what Todd Phillips is doing with the Joker movie at all. It's still going to be in its own alternate universe. I think that's just because the first movie did so well. Had it not been so successful, they probably would have soft rebooted that too. They're getting the same treatment that Matt Reeves is getting with his Batman franchise, Robert Pattinson's Batman, all those spin-offs. Those are also being currently treated like it's its own alternate continuity. Like these two different franchises are happening on alternate universes from the main Justice League Earth that will be the one that they soft reboot. Todd Phillips also recently dropped a teaser trailer for Joker 2, so they're actually going full steam ahead with the production. There was a title reveal and the full script, like it's basically good to go because they're getting ready to film it. The title is pronounced Joker Folie à Deux, and it's French for Joker Shared Madness, as in Joker Shared Psychotic Episode. It's a term in psychology used to describe when multiple people share the same delusion, the same psychotic episode. This also confirms now that the title, Shared Delusion, so to speak, refers to the shared delusion that Joker will share with Dr. Harleen Quinzel during his stay at Arkham Asylum. There are a lot of reports that say that most of the movie will take place in and around Arkham Asylum, so it'll deal with the development of their relationship, like how he meets her for the first time, how she eventually falls in love with him, and eventually he winds up twisting her to the dark side, so to speak. They've kind of addressed that in previous Batman projects, like they did a little bit during the previous Suicide Squad movies with the Margot Robbie version of Harley Quinn. We saw a little bit of her origin story as Harley Quinn. It sounds like a lot of this movie is just going to be a much bigger version of that. Also, because it's still going to be relatively low budget, it makes sense that they would keep a lot of it in and around Arkham Asylum. It'll be really interesting to see what she looks like compared to the Margot Robbie version of Harley Quinn. I had to cut out a little bit of the music from the teaser trailer just for copyright reasons, but this is what the actual audio sounds like on it. It's playing that classic song, Cheek to Cheek, which is just meant to reference the context of their relationship, like this is happening in Arkham Asylum, like it's a reference to the fantasy that is taking place in his head. You're never quite sure if what's happening is really happening or if it's just happening inside his head. And now, obviously, because it's a shared delusion, is it happening inside her head as well? The fun fact about the Joker serum, too, is that it's actually derived from the Scarecrow fear toxin, but we haven't had the Scarecrow inside the Joaquin Phoenix Joker universe yet. And even though it is possible that he could use some version of the Joker serum during this Joker sequel, I don't think they're going to play it that way. I think they'll keep it in the realm of metaphor when he talks about sharing his madness with everyone. Like through his actions, through the media, people will watch it, like the people who are rioting, and it'll just get crazier and crazier and crazier, and he'll start to win them over through his actions. And they will then begin to share in his madness. It's not like he's going to go around dumping a bunch of fear toxin or Joker toxin into the water supply. That's the really cool, the really insidious thing about the first Joker movie is that he doesn't need any kind of Joker toxin like that. It's all about the role of the media and all this. Like in the case of the first movie, it was his broadcast at the end that helped push his exploits to legendary status, but at the time, he was already building on an existing system of riots that all the people in Gotham had been upset about, the current administration, the growing problems in the city, the whole inequality between the common people who were rioting and the ultra-rich people represented by Thomas Wayne, Bruce Wayne's family. He was in the middle of running for mayor, and there were these escalating series of riots throughout the movie as things got crazier and crazier and crazier, public outcries during his appearances. Eventually, before he went full Joker at the end of the movie, he called the crowd a bunch of clowns. So already, things were going really crazy in the city, and what was happening with the Joker just kind of tipped that over the edge. The whole thing with him secretly being Thomas Wayne's son, I think, was actually a bit of a misdirect, but the way the movie plays it, they want to be kind of ambiguous about it because you're meant to be viewing everything in the film from Arthur's perspective. So as he descends into madness, you're meant to see things get crazier and weirder and weirder. Like they wanted you to feel as if there might have been a possibility that he was Thomas Wayne's son, and they never confirmed that it wasn't true, even though they implied that it was all just this big delusion. In reality, I think that his mother had suffered from mental delusions like he does in the movie, like she had had mental episodes when she was younger, and she just fell in love with Thomas Wayne when her family was working at his mansion and started to get creepy at his house, and then they just implied that his family kind of pushed her family out the door. Like, okay, you go off on your own, no more working for us. And she just descended into a form of madness and just came up with this delusion that she had been in a relationship with Thomas Wayne, when that really wasn't the case. So he's not really Thomas Wayne's son, but during the movie, you notice, even after Thomas Wayne yells at him and they have that episode together, that big encounter, he calls him a crazy person, Arthur does not stop believing that it's true. He's still obsessed with the Waynes. So the idea is that he had played a party clown and Thomas Wayne had called the people like him, like the lower class people, a bunch of clowns acting crazy. He started to feel like his life was a joke. Eventually, he just kind of owns all that by wearing the name as his own mantle, calling himself the Joker. Matt Reeves actually had his version of the Barry Keoghan Joker in the Batman movie kind of say something similar, like it's not so bad being a clown. The big difference during the Batman movie, though, is the ages of the Batman and the Joker, and the Joker is in prison in Arkham Asylum because Batman put him there. They released a deleted scene that was meant to be on the 1-year anniversary of him putting him in prison, so the Barry Keoghan Joker was joking about that with him, like, isn't it our anniversary?
Present. Almost our anniversary, isn't it?
So if it wasn't clear, now obviously Matt Reeves has confirmed that the Joker in his universe is not going to be the Joaquin Phoenix version of the Joker, and even though they are doing all this crazy multiverse stuff with the Flash movie, the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie will still be set in an alternate universe. It's still going to be rated R, it's still going to be part of DC's Black Label, which is what they're using for their darker, more hardcore films, especially ones that are set in alternate universes that aren't necessarily connected to all the big DCEU stuff. Most of the plot details are being kept in an underground bunker, as you would expect, but based on what both Phillips and Phoenix had said previously, the movie isn't going to have like a massive time jump. The original movie took place during 1981. Joaquin Phoenix is in his 50s in present day in real world, but he was playing a 30, 40-something Joker. So any references to Batman or any of the other pre-existing DC characters in the Joker sequel is just meant to be a coincidence, or in the case of this version of Batman, just a totally new, different version of Batman. The Joker sequel is mostly just meant to move forward a little in the timeline to the next logical event in Gotham. So Bruce Wayne would still be a child living with Alfred, he'd be a little bit older but still be a child, and there wouldn't be a bunch of Batman stuff happening yet. The other really big change that you probably just heard about that I mentioned earlier was Todd Phillips separately being asked by the new powers that be at DC at Warner Brothers to come in and advise on doing more films, kind of like the Joker in the same vein, like talking about more DC Black Label types of movies. That means more mid-budget movies, like movies that are closer to like $90, $100 million about villain characters. Different from what you would think of your traditional big superhero type of DC film, like a Batman movie. What's probably changed recently about that is that James Gunn is probably talking to him about potentially doing more stuff like that, but they're trying to figure out how that's going to fit with his new plan for the next 10 years of the main line of DC movies. Matt Reeves has talked about doing lots of spin-offs for his characters, like there's the Arkham Asylum TV show, there's the other Batman-based TV shows on the Robert Pattinson version of Batman. That's not meant to be DC Black Label stuff. All the stuff that Todd Phillips would be doing or helping advise or producing at Warner Brothers if other directors come on to do them is meant to be a different line of continuity. Personally, I actually think that that's been one of DC's strengths. They just announced that Marvel is finally doing a Thunderbolts movie, and they said that they pitched it kind of like the Marvel version of a Suicide Squad film. One of DC's big advantages over Marvel the past couple years has been their willingness to do R-rated, villain-based films. This also kind of gets into what's going on with the bloodbath that was happening at HBO Max recently with all the cancellations of TV shows and movies. What they were mostly canceling with like the Batgirl movie, for instance, is movies that they had originally just exclusively made for HBO Max. Like they're not doing that anymore. No more mid-budget just for HBO Max. They're just doing theatrical films now. And that's basically what Todd Phillips' plan always was. Like this was always going to be a theatrical Joker 2 movie. All the DC Black Label stuff that he might wind up doing in the future, that's all intended for a theatrical release. What'll happen though is that James Gunn is making his big presentation about the next 10 years of DC movies to the Warner Brothers board, the new CEO, and once that happens, he'll probably make those plans public on his Twitter account, or at least some of the plans. Like I said, it is a developing situation, so we will continue to hear about more changes coming up. Everyone click here to learn about the Batman Beyond movie they were making with Michael Keaton, and click here for my Guardians of the Galaxy 3 trailer video and Easter eggs. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.